Yes of Vanglagas ala civil rahaz elkzi mevdevo tiz nahla yes of Vanglagas ala civil rahaz elkze mevdeva tiz nahla yes of Vanglagas ala civil rahaz elkze mevdevo tiz nahla. What's your initial impressions of that?
I feel a time of newness, not necessarily a time of renewal, but a time of newness. There's a word, I guess I may have just made that up, that newness. Getting to work. It's time to get to work. It's time to get busy. There's a phrase, now or never. So yeah, I feel like a time of
Dun, 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 dun. That's the song.
Yeah. Definitely a time to work and get busy. Start now.
Okay, so the word chase or repel is lil lugus. So vug lugus would be to draw in. And
change. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought I remembered all the words, but okay. Well, I'll show you.
Okay.
Now this means different to different people, but one thing that I've brought out for this ceremony is my Order of Nine Angles pendant. And one of the things I tend to think about that, now I didn't count the things, and I don't think it really matters how many little bits there are there, because it's not really meant for that. But you have the star, the microcosm, and it extends into the septenary. And of course, there's the points beyond the septenary. So you got the 9 instead of the, you got those 2 convergent points and the 7. You have that lunar symbolism going on with the double ring that's part of it. I know somebody would want me to give a more official thing or say more about it, but what have your thoughts been about the, because you start with your regular mundane person and you make your way, you claim it to a more spiritual person and a spiritual person of the galaxy.
Yeah, well, it's like starting from scratch, starting over, learning and building on each point.
It's sort of that Nietzschean Superman sort of myth going on.
Kind of like a purifying, it's purifying.
Because you got the
pure.
You got the community in yourself. You got this, what reflects the higher order inherent in that lunar symbol. Because most people are familiar with like the different curves and stuff like this, but the double circle thing is a moon symbol. And of course, I have encoded in here the lunar stage of what's going on. Okay. Yeah, well, as I find things, bug is the word for union or together. So okay, instead of the chasing away, not making part, it's making something part of yourself. In Arabic, I guess you'd have the word tawheed. My general theme will be numinosity, and as I list off the verses that we go over, it will be the thing. Now, in this program, I will not. I'm sharing of translations, so I'm not. Oh, I really need to write down the translation right next to things.
got a lot of writing. I think writing is
Well, as you know,
a
I get
lot of time writing.
chance, and I get the way to understand them. Tuz is the disincarnate spirit. So, you know, you have the Ra'u, which is the angel or the light being, the Devi, the Malaka, whatever you want to call it. The demon, the Asura, Davas, fire being, Jinn, whatever you want to call it. And then the human, the thing that incarnates in the human body is the Tez. And so that's where that word comes from.
Okay.
Ruhas. Ruhas is the dusk to dawn period, which for starting the bright quarter, it's sort of the opposite. But we are going into sort of a dark energy. And so to reiterate the pathways here, we're going to go, the sigils in order are going to be Noctulius, Nithra, Shugara, Satanas, Asath, Azanagan, Nakala, which both relates to words for the palm tree and relates to the words for something negative. I don't remember exactly what it is at the moment. You know, in Arabic, that's the meaning. And the Nakala were the triple goddess thing in that one area, and they had the shrine. But that's the second point, I think. Don't want to be too repetitive about Gawath Banan Oth, Litigon, Abatu, Karu Samsu, Nemaku, Maktoron, Valpecula, Cthuna, Adazoth, Vindex, Devchina, Saraktanas, Naas. Now, some people are going to list, like, there's a couple of them, Adashir and Budsturga, and are there, isn't there a Darkat, I think? There's some side entities, and if you have the book, if you have the book with you, that might be something you bring up. So in the back, there's side entities that are part of those paths. So this working is in the paths in general. And of course, Alastaros relates to, you will see that in some Grimorium Verums, but it's the same path outside of the septenary system. And then I include the above septenary system, but the outside, you have Baphomet and the daughters of Baphomet. And so part of the Alastaros path, that's where you would probably situate that. And some entities you'd probably situate on the spheres in betweens. So,
I was going to ask.
So were you going to say something about the path entities that are not so
the daughters of Baphomet would be something I would like to discover the names, the daughters of Baphomet.
Yeah, that's been one of my questions. Is like, well, there's talk of it, and then there's talk of the 9 very specifically, and it gives the list, and it doesn't give the whole list. And there's a couple entities that aren't the daughters. So, yeah, I'd like to kind of understand that point of the mythology better. Oh, am I going to have to find this out later? So I, of course, in relation to my seasonals in general, remember it's approximately 4 cycles. So what is it? What is it? Citrine. It's like a orange quartz or something like that.
Oh, pretty.
And this is like a bloodstone. So I have 2 bloodstones. One's agate based and one's jasper based. So my agate based one I use in my order of 9 angles related and influenced workings. So
I like to
anything officially listed as order of 9 angles, anything listed, you know, Temple of Blood and the other you're going to say something. You have the book out. You were going to mention what
Uh-huh.
paths are and which ones they relate to.
Let's see. Yes. I think that was right after the sigils. Well, the book talks about the sigils. Now there's a table after that.
Okay, the word civil is feeding,
Mhm.
attached to, or drink. So civil, SVL, that's what that word means.
But yeah, the secondary system, when I was studying just last night, I had wrote focuses, my personal focuses of steps in ritual, um, and still fixing blocks. I guess you could say working with the energy. The flowing of energy is very important. I don't understand why people do what they say vanishing. I don't understand why somebody would want to stop.
Yeah, well, it's like
Can't
it's
stop
it's
the
like
energy. You work with.
yes, the Necronomicon, Simon Necronomicon, or whatever other version, it's representative. It's not the real thing. But the thing about that was, it's like, okay, you're doing all these forbidden rituals, and then you're going to show up a sign like, oh, I swear I only worship God now. I'm not calling on these other things anymore. And you throw up that hand sign, and it's like the entities aren't stupid. If you're not, if maybe they're going to not want to be around you or be a part of this anymore, if you're like, like actually have repented, but that's not, what you're going to banish, and then the next day you're going to, the entities realize you're faking that part.
Yeah, I totally don't get the banishing. It makes no sense.
Okay. Elks Z is the word for sulfur. So that is the sixth word, sort of in the position of the year, if you put the year around it. So the center is the dusk to dawn, and the spring point is the sulfur, and the spirit is the summer solstice, and the feeding or attachment is the it's the fall equinox. The winter solstice is the the process of union. And these other words, there's the Hiyesav, Atla, Nahla, Muftavo. I'm not finding those at the moment. So
I'm on the wrong page.
okay, well, I'll list off the verses. So the verses that are that I have selected that relate to our theme here. In the Quran, we have Surah 2, 248, 926 and 40, 23, 50, 30, 21, 48, 4, 18, and 26. And I know there's variations. Some verses and some even chapters don't occur in some versions. But anyways, we have Romans 9:4, Luke 2:9, Matthew 17:5. And in here we have Genesis 3:24, 9:27, 14:13, 16:12, 25:18, 26:2, 35:22, 49:13, Exodus 24:16, 25:8, 29, 45 to 46, 40:35, Leviticus 16:16, Numbers 5, 9:17 to 18, 9:22, 10:12, 14:30, 23, 9, 24, 2, 35, 34 to 35, Deuteronomy 12:11, and Isaiah 62, as verses to connect the the ritual history of the whole thing. And so did you find the appendix?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the appendix, which ones other than the main ones are listed there? Did I leave any out? I think they're, oh, say which path they're a part of. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the all of the sigils, as they call them.
Adushir. No, it's not with the sigils. It's a separate one. It lists something about each of the dark gods, as they call them.
Oh, the dark gods. Okay, I was just looking at that. I think my mind is working ahead of my physical actions here. Yeah, the dark gods.
So as you're looking for that, and you can look up here for a moment here with this. So this ring, I got a sun, and I have the thing. I got this store was going out of business. There's no way I would have spent what, $30 or whatever for this thing. A few bucks is fine, but you know, $20, $30 was probably too much for it. So, but anyways, it's become one of my dear rings for my seasonals, because it's like people's like, oh, why you're wearing that ring? And it's like, oh, and remember, you know, you got to have a ring on the left hand for some of those that one goetic operation and stuff like this. And it happens to be in the bright quarter when you do that one. So it's good for that. So it's a very solar ring, because I think that side thing, like shooting flames of fire.
Exactly,
And
it's the energy with it.
And so this is on hemp rope, and it's lasted all these years, which is good. Which is probably what I'm going to have to do with the other one. So you have the Solomonic triangle. I'm having one of these made, but I'm not having it all cheesy looking. I'm not having it in. I'm going to have it in other language other than the Latin stuff. Tetragrammaton, you know, 4-lettered names, and a faxiton and permutation. So Yahweh, Achid Rash, Dutu Rash, Tumor Huzav Achid. So one is his beginning, one is his substance, one is his permutation, and anafaxiton is basically tazbout. And so that becomes, that's not a tetragrammaton, just like Adonai is not a tetragrammaton in its older version. So they added, so there would be a wow in this one. You know, TZ is one letter, and BWT, but you know, oh, maybe that is a tetragrammaton. And so Yahweh, but Yahweh is a formula beyond gender and Israelites and stuff like this. But you know, and then you have the Michael thing, you know, because Michael's said to be the one over hell and all that stuff. So being the fire triangle, it's become the thing for the summer. And here we have, I don't know if this is brass or what this thing is. Carnelian. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, carnelian and malachite remain the most important symbols. Now, I've done a video on the whole symbolism of it, but yeah, it's a little point, and there are basically 13. Oh, they do that with a lot of pendulums, don't they? Is they you know, you have the bottom side, and then they have 6, and then they have 6. So why is that the number that they choose?
Right. And sometimes maybe there's just no reason. In a way, during the last ritual, there was 2 stones that I added to my wand. Especially there's the lapis lazuli. So she is really taking off with her crystals.
And as you remember, I'm going to switch the background. It's, you know, as you look, but yeah, remember the statue. Now the statue is, so I posted a video where I basically dedicate and give up the meaning of the statue. But yeah, I decorated it with the paths of weird here. So this is another way of looking at this. Now the graphic here is not perfect. I'm going to make it fully legible when zooming up before I turn these into bumper sticker quality things. And So I don't have, my book's not, I can't really get to that book while I'm on the thing. But if you find that thing, but I'll go over here quick, the the poem.
Okay.
So, because remember, the book has something about the paths itself.
Yeah, the serpentary paths.
So it mentions Dark Cat, it mentions Budsturga, it mentions the ones other than the 22 that I've listed.
I see the stars, Daba, Naos, and Algol.
No, not the stars.
Those
There's
are
a list.
stars.
There's a list that it says each path for the entity, and maybe it says something about the entity. It's like towards the back of the book. It's like a couple pages or something.
Okay.
But anyways, I guess break from that so you can focus on this. And we must identify as separate in our longing for union, full of a transcendent spirituality we have been confessing since we began. With a fiery letter, they have an opinion. The future king and queen have survived for this communion. Numinosity from the knees to the left hand, from the knees to the right hand, from the knees to the left elbow, from the knees to the pelvis, from the knees to the right elbow, from the knees to the left shoulder, from the left hand to the right hand, from the left hand to the pelvis, from the left hand to the right hand, from the left hand to the from the left hand to the left elbow, from the left hand to the right elbow, from the left hand to the left shoulder, from the right hand to the pelvis, from the right hand to the left elbow, from the right hand to the right elbow, from the right hand to the left shoulder, from the pelvis to the left elbow, from the pelvis to the right elbow, from the pelvis to the left shoulder, from the left elbow to the right elbow, from the left elbow to the left shoulder, from the right elbow to the left shoulder, to this world and beyond, through the galaxy are the paths and signs of a causal union. The future is a crystalline key, impaled and wrapped in the canal of white blood in gray mouths that are caught knowing the pool with the ruby password of the transparency in becoming the dragon. The winter is contained in the landscape, gate and birds. From the desert of frogs spreads the army of children. Sacrifice is made for the children of the unknown. The internal power of the eagle weaves. The angels are moved by the 7 tones of the Black Hill. The marriage of autumn is released from the earth in the sharpness of the snake of light. Desireless explosions empty the dungeon of flaming butterflies. The dance of solar stillness inflames the gravestones. The red and blue statue bears the lesson to perfect from shapes and through the hair. Aklal Maka is moved by arms and steps beyond gender. The ice meets heat of a Raymond's feminine face of the golden ones. The dark star opens with the elixir of recalling, and we go against the current to unspeakably recall. The unconscious depths cut us into a chosen form to enrage the goat twain. Horses encircle a tree, and twain angels obscure upon a mountain of skulls. Women have died in marriage to destroy books. The disabled go beyond forms in descent. The inner temple is traumatized but survives. fully open and chant. Yes, Vanglagas ala civil rahaz elkzi mevdevo has nahla. Now, what are your thoughts regarding this?
This brings back something that happened fairly recent. When I saw, beyond our realm, I saw the three realms, and there was I'll just refer to it as the dark star, but I saw like the swirling energy, blackness, and I saw that as the source of life, if you wanted to call it that. But I call it the dark star or source. And
Okay.
Going, reaching to that in certain forms and ways. To, I guess you could say, repair energy, or well, not repair, but you know what I mean, like help along the flow, help along the flow of that energy, because energy must be worked with and not against. There's just so much unnecessary destruction everywhere. Controls out of control. Just the time of newness.
Okay, so I found the list. So on the one that I have, that's not the colored one, I guess it's the older one.
I did
So,
find a
so
page that I couldn't translate
without fully reading it, I guess. You got what?
I did find a page, but it's not. I can't translate it. It's like little symbols and things. And
no, I was talking about. So here we have the path workings table 1, and then the sigils are next to it, and then you have this table 2, which isn't really a table, but it's a list. And I'm trying to resend you the graphic of what we're going over. I kind of messed up the order of a little bit of the thing. So I basically took you took it Christopher Beast's poems. So the Black Book of Satan 2, Talete. So so I took something out of each of those, and I came up with something. And then I connected it to the thing. So we have Noctulius of the night, Nithra, energy, Shugara. Was this isn't the right, this isn't the full order, is it?
I didn't think so.
I guess it is. Okay. Shugara is intrusions. Aosoph is passion and death. Azanagan, lying in wait. Kind of like the idea of a ghoul, but then again, it's not like that in the like the Arabic way of the ghoul. I don't know, maybe the Ku Klux Klan way of the ghoul. Why would a Christian organization want to name their stuff as like, but they were suspect to begin with anyways. But well, I mean, they should have been suspect to begin with. They weren't a good organization. I'm just saying that that's a reference. Because a ghoul, using the Arabic word, is a being that can hurt you, force you, like the movie Possessions. Remember the chant that I use? Lum Tivab Havok sleeve. Havok sleeve is the word for possession.
Right.
Wal Kilti Haziram Zipti. So Azan again, lies in wait. Shaitan, earthbound representative. So closer to the Malik Tau's thing. Nakala is a collective name for a race. I think we're all referring to races here, but we talk about a specific individual, right? Gawath Am is energy release. I mean, there's more than this about it. I'm trying to be. Banan Ath is said to mean behold the fire, but it's the in between, the medium, I guess.
I found it. I was looking in the wrong place. I was looking
is union of opposites. So Darkat and Dogon. So Litagon, Darkat associated as pre-Sumerian in origin. Okay, we'll get to that. Dagon is, like the fish dragon, whatever. At the very least, you should understand that, at least in the Lovecraft sense. But yes, H.P. Lovecraft novels do influence the Order of Nine Angles. We have Abatu, destructive or negative energy sacrifices. Karusamsu, solar invocation. I'm not sure what language this stuff's supposed to be because it's supposed to have a meaning, right? I mean, some of it's Latin based, some of it, the Order of Nine Angles stuff isn't as, if you look into it, it's like, okay, the guy composed his own mythology over what he believed over a combination of things, Greek and all this other stuff. David Myatt and Anton Long did both. So, Nemaku, sage, Mactoron.
That's the word.
What some being of a, well, they are sort of stargates, but sort of in between things. But some of them have connections outside. So that's one of the things about that path that looks like an alpha omega combined, sort of. But that's how the symbol came.
Okay.
But that will, if people can't read it right, and I specifically colored that in red versus the others. One, because it's sort of beyond. It's greater than the other paths, and two, it's yeah, but anyways, so Atazoth relates to Gut, the transgression of boundaries. Cosmic cycles. So like in the Thoth tarot deck, you have that Ion card, which shows these, okay, it's the age of the child's coming forth, but there were further entities, whatever. So things change. Like I talk about the international age. It just doesn't make sense. Like a lot of the stuff, when you turn to the Bible, you're talking commandments that if they were valid at any point, they obviously are not valid in an international sense. They're not valid through all technology, whatever. They weren't, some of these things weren't broad enough.
Yeah, the key
and some of them were just priestcraft controlling people. Davkina, Davkina would be the Latin pronunciation. Is it Davkina? However you're supposed to pronounce it. It's the feminine enchanter. Like in the Quran, it talks about the second to last chapter talks about the she who blows on knots. Some translations may not make it as specific how you're using the male and the female language, because deity and all that stuff's beyond that. Even the material world's beyond that. It doesn't, but there's use of this male and female language, right? So Atushir is along the 16th path, which, what is the 16th path? 3, is it Kathana?
17.
So it's a fire serpent. Oh, wasn't that one of the things with the Israelite myth? Is there were serpents that they were there were the good serpents and the bad serpents, so the good dragons and the bad dragons, and this is articulated more in the in the India area, the Persian area, but they talk about that sort of thing. And so we have
Are you sure?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's not really saying anything in this thing with it, but they're all words of power for the things. But Sturga is the 13th path. So Nemaku, and it's a blue being. Remember how I told you that there's this? Did you? I posted a video. I didn't even know about the Order of Nine Angles. I honestly didn't. As far as I know, I didn't know about the Order of Nine Angles and stuff. And I'm like, Bud Sturga. There's a place over here for this Bud Sturga, and I didn't articulate it too well in the video, but when I found out more, I'm like, and that place by Vale Pass is actually a sacred place to the Order of Iron Angles and Temple of Blood and some other groups that's connected
Kind
to
of like little
Iron Angles.
puzzle
So,
pieces fall into
but it
place.
was a kid. There was a kid's drawing, and it's like this is the being. And so Gaudni relates to the second path. So Nithra, great demon of revulsion, sort of like the Nasu in the Persian myths. Sapanur is along the 11th path, so the Abatu. It's a sudden. It says it's not related to the dark gods, but it's that there's different stages. Like I did this, I did different myths that were Babylonian, and there were different stages of beings. Doesn't mean that they weren't all what you call fire beings or the hidden beings or whatever, but
right.
And then you have Darkad, which relates to the 10th and the 8th paths, the Lidgon and Gawath Am. Well, some entities would go between, right? And it relates to Dagon, and it's more lunar. And then there's different paths. Oh, they didn't do this in order, so that's what threw me off. So Saraktanas, Davchina, Vindex, Naas.
Yeah,
that was what I was expecting to be next.
The table. So I was like,
but Naas is kind of related to the word for temple. Saraktanas, I liked in a way what's his name's work. The VK Gehenna.
Oh.
It was overly reliant on divination. Now this is going to quit in a minute, and then I guess we can do a second one here. But I sort of liked his but he relied too much on, I'm going to shuffle the tarot cards, I'm going to just whatever number comes, and it's not like that. There's more to what his the official things. And some of his language use was a little bit off, but I think he authentically tried. I think he authentically tried to get some symbol in. But of course, the tarot card, the alphabet of the immortal, he says that there's not really too much that they unveil, but it'd be interesting to actually go through there. And it's probably in English, but just like the Golden Dawn stuff, it may not be in English. It may be in different languages all at the same time.
And what was his name?